There's all kinds of crime and true crime cases that are always getting all kinds of headlines all the time, and they should. That's a good thing. But something that doesn't get discussed enough or get dealt with even close to properly is police corruption, police law enforcement breaking the law. And like I always say, this shit wouldn't happen to the degree it does if law enforcement feared one bit that they would pay the piper for the bullshit that they do. So much stuff is always getting swept under the rug, the blue wall or whatever, the code of silence, even rougher in some ways than that of the street codes and gang culture and stuff like that. I mean, not saying all the way all the time, but it can be. You know what I mean? The snitching thing, no snitching thing goes on within law enforcement. But if these crooked sons of bitches, or ones that are flat out committing criminal acts and hurting people and different things like that, again, would get locked up regularly instead of being forced into retirement or just swept under the rug, the shit would probably stop. And that's what we got here is something I wanted to point out. This case, obviously, with the legal system, right? Innocent until proven guilty, although in so many instances that ain't how it goes for civilians, citizens and such. And it's supposed to be extended that way to anyone who catches a case. But there's some stuff we got to go over. This one, this sheriff in Texas was arrested by his own deputies.
The attorneys for Johnson County Sheriff Adam King filed a motion to amend the conditions of his bond agreement, and some changes were granted this morning by the judge. King is now permitted to return to the sheriff's department and resume his duties as sheriff. But he can only be there for 3 days a week between the hours of 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. while the case against him makes its way through court. The judge said King is to have no contact with 7 individuals described as witnesses, mostly Sheriff's Department employees, some of them King's accusers. One prosecuting attorney told me King is required to enter and exit his office at the Sheriff's Department through a private entrance. This morning, King entered a not guilty plea to the 4 counts against him, which include abuse of office, sexual harassment, retaliation against a witness, and the most recent count that was added yesterday, aggravated perjury. The first indictment against King was announced in August, involving several alleged instances of inappropriate comments to his employees and allegations of retaliation after they came forward. The allegations came to light after a 6-week investigation by the Texas Rangers. The new perjury charge pertains to King allegedly lying to the grand jury. In the courtroom today, there were a number of people who said they were on hand to offer support to the sheriff.
We are here to represent and support Adam King. Known him for 23 years, worked with him in very many community service projects. A great man. Stand behind him until the court system proves or sways my decision some other way.
This morning, the judge set a trial date of August 3rd, 2026, but it was suggested that date could be moved up by a few months. In Cleburne.
So like I said, his own deputies arrested him. Case was brought against this guy who sounds like some kind of old creep dinosaur from way back in the day when, these weird sons of bitches would just press up on women all inappropriately and feel like they could just have their way with them or make them pay consequences if they didn't act the way in which they wanted to. And the fact that a case is even brought against this guy, that the boss, the sheriff, was arrested by some deputies, the cuffs thrown on him and everything, taken into custody. And we talked about the code of silence, the blue wall, that people within the department are cooperating against this guy, witnesses in this case. I mean, it kind of speaks for itself. And it's so crazy that while the case is pending, what do y'all think about this, right? If a citizen catches a case, there's orders of protection and stuff like that, right? This guy put himself on leave when he was first arrested, but now with the trial date set for August 3rd, 2026, but that can vary if both sides are ready and the trial can kick off earlier, but he can resume his job. Limited hours, 3 or 4 days a week between like 10 and 4, and he has to come in a private entrance or whatever where he won't be around people. But that's just still kind of crazy to me that he's even extended that opportunity or privilege, or however you want to reference it, to be the boss effectively in this department with victims working within the same place. Like, what about orders of protection? It's just so crazy to me. And conflicts of interest, it's bugged out, man. But again, have you ever heard of a case like this where, right, sometimes cops flip and testify on other law enforcement, right, but the boss is getting the cuffs thrown on him, and the people that work there are like, get this creepy bastard up out of here. And then on top of it, he caught a perjury case too for lying under oath. He just was indicted by the grand jury. And again, the fact that he was allegedly actually harassing these women, retaliating against them when things didn't go the way he wanted, and punishing whistleblowers and such. It's like, how can this guy resume his duties within this office? And it's just some old creep stuff, man. And listen to some of the stuff he was saying to some of these women, right? But he is barred from contacting 7 witnesses in the case. But like I said, with him right up in the office, the possibilities of him finding ways to still, when he's already proven, oh, I'll retaliate against people, you know, the whistleblowers are going to pay. It's just crazy to me that this is allowed to happen. And again, it's because he's law enforcement. Like, hardly ever the percentage, I wonder what the true percentage is of complaints against law enforcement with some evidence and stuff to follow it up is ever prosecuted, or a case ever comes against them. The numbers are probably impossible to find out because the reports themselves are probably buried. You know what I mean? Like, this is just bugged out to me. But because he's a sheriff, look at all these privileges he's getting. And you know, I'm keeping my eye on this case. I want to see what happens if and when he's convicted, if they'll actually hit this dude with time. I'm sure he'll most definitely lose his job if he's convicted, but who knows? This gives him witness tampering opportunities and stuff like that. And listen, the accusations include repeated remarks about female employees' weight, appearance, and clothing, and suggestions they should wear makeup to work. He is also accused of offering perks or benefits to married women if they agreed to spend time with him. You hear this creepy son of a bitch? I mean, again, it's allegations, but just once again, think about the fact that people within the sheriff's office are testifying on him, arrested him. You know what I'm saying? You know how that blue code of silence and the blue wall goes, man. This guy, it's got to be a real sack of shit, just like it's sounding like in these allegations. And this one woman alleged he told her if she kept losing weight, he would do ungodly things to her. And she also said when she wore white slacks to work, listen, like I said, a dinosaur from back in the day where creeps just roam free doing whatever they wanted. He said, back in my younger days, you wouldn't want to know what I did to women wearing white pants. Like if she wore white slacks to work, that's what he was talking about. And there was also a tea time gathering he hosted for female staff. That sounds all bugged out up in the sheriff's office. A tea time gathering, only the women employees there. Like, this guy is just out of his mind. But he told them, don't tell people or your husbands the sheriff puts his cream in your tea. This is some nasty shit to even repeat, man. But the harassment got reported, and he retaliated by threatening them, including telling one woman he would have her arrested. But, you sick bastard, you got arrested. But again, the fact that he's acting boss still is just crazy to me. He was arrested in August when the initial charges came. And again, he put himself on leave. He ended up catching another case for lying under oath, but now he's back as the boss. This is just crazy. So this is in Texas. Sheriff King really thinks he's the king of his castle, and all these women are just his property or some weirdo shit like that to do with as he feels, you know. And then when shit like this happens, right, and the character of these individuals is exposed, it only probably shows like the bullshit they're doing within their office or department or whatever. Who knows the kind of shit that they do on the job to women. It's just some creepy ish. So jump in the comments, let me know what you think about this. Again, man, cops do all this bullshit to other cops, to civilians, citizens, and all that because they don't fear repercussions, man. It's been going on forever, and you see some old dinosaur like this from the olden days. Just the way these allegations, again, I know they're allegations, but just the whole way this went down speaks volumes to what it really is, man. It's standard for this shit to be covered up, or hey, just go into retirement. But no, they were like, man, we gotta lock your weirdo ass up. It's bugged out, man. So stay tuned. We're gonna cover this case. Sheriff King out of Texas. Will he be locked up? Will he lose his job? Will he beat the case? Will he lose his pension? Like, there's so many questions to all this. And again, stay tuned for the updates and all that. And let me know what you think about not just this instance and case we're talking about, but just the corruption and power trip Nazi-ish ways by a lot of these crooked ass cops, sheriffs, law enforcement.